Hello and welcome to Parrhesia. I'm your host, infamous Parrhesiastus. I want to talk to you today about a few things that I have been thinking about for quite some time, ever since I started learning about them. The first thing is going to be torsion field physics. The second thing is going to be dialectical materialism. And the third thing is going to be orchestrated objective reduction. I'm not sure how far I'll get through these three topics during this video, but if I don't make it through all of them, then I'll end up making another video to finish. I'm just going to adjust my camera here a little bit. Now, for those of you who are actually interested in what I have to say and the topics of discussion, and who don't want to take a moment to clear a headspace, or maybe you're already in a clear headspace, feel free to just skip over this. But for those of you who want to kind of get into a headspace with me, I'm going to smoke this bowl right now, and I hope that you join me with your own bowl, or dabs, or vape pen, or whatever you like. I just hope it's nothing too hard. Ooh, yeah. This is some animal mints. I don't have the packaging with me. I meant to bring the packaging so I could tell you who the animal mints is by. But, I mean, shit, I feel like we don't even really know that much anymore who's growing our weed. I mean, I used to get it from the growers. I mean, I used to work for the growers. That's a whole nother topic that I'll have to save for another video, because I could go on and on about that. Now, one thing I want to mention before we get into this is I'm going to read some stuff from Wikipedia, so hopefully I don't get taken down for that. Who knows anymore? But if you know Wikipedia and you're into controversial subjects, you'll know that Wikipedia has been changing some controversial subjects a lot lately. Like, from what I understand, the definition, or at least Wikipedia's explanation of recession, has been changed 40-something times very recently. Don't quote me on that, that's hearsay. But so I'm going to kind of read some stuff to you from the Wikipedia page for these different things, but I'm also going to kind of give you my thoughts on the topic and what Wikipedia has to say about it. This is my first solo podcast, I suppose. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Just kind of, I don't know, I usually have someone here with me to kind of bounce my ideas off of and talk to about stuff, so it's me and the camera right now. I prefer a more social setting, a more kind of dialogue than a monologue, but then oftentimes I end up monologuing anyway. So I've been encouraged to take the step out onto my own to start monologuing. I guess doing my own kind of podcast thing. I hope for anybody out there that's thinking about doing something like this themselves that I encourage you and I don't scare you away from it because I'm god awful or anything like that. just remember, if you're watching me, I'm not a professional. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just doing what I'm doing. I'm doing what I do when I'm with people and I have conversations. I'm trying to do that. So I'm not used to doing that on my own with the camera yet. So you'll have to bear with me. Hopefully I get better at it. I've got like 30 or 40 tabs open that I've been collecting for like, I don't know, almost a year or something, maybe half a year, that I want to talk about. And I've been trying to put together a regular podcast with some regular guests. There's some friends that I've known for a long time that I'd like to get doing this with me. But I mean, none of us have transportation, I don't think. I don't know if any of us have our licenses. Fucking 40-year-old dudes without their licenses because the system's so fucking jacked and corrupt. That's another story for another time too. But since I finished this bowl, and I'm already 6 minutes into this video, I'm gonna try to get onto it. I got some other things here in case I need some more smoke. I got some extra batteries. Okay. So first off, I want to mention that according to Wikipedia, torsion field physics is pseudoscience, which I absolutely disagree with. I think that pseudoscience, the word, is actually kind of some kind of oxymoron, because science isn't definite. Science is something that changes. Science is something that has been proven through being tested, but also must continue to prove to be true through testing. So, I think it's something that's hard for humans to grasp or comprehend, maybe accept, that what we discover to be true might not necessarily always be true. For all we know, the very basic nature of things could change over time, over more time than we've even existed as an organism. Who knows what the real possibilities are? So to call something pseudoscience, I almost feel like would only apply if it's been proven not to be true, or maybe proven to be true through science and then disproven through science, which is testing. Well, let's just see what Wikipedia has to say about torsion field physics. And I just want to say that it's been changed from torsion field physics to torsion field on Wikipedia. So torsion field physics is no longer a Wikipedia page because I feel like somebody thought having the word physics gave it too much validity. And honestly, it seems like there's a lot less here about it than when I originally looked at it. So I'm gonna have to really dig. Maybe it's the history of it that I'll have to get into. But Wikipedia says a torsion field, also called axion field, spin field, spinner field, or microlepton field, is a feature of pseudoscientific proposals that the quantum spin of particles can be used to cause emanations to carry information through vacuum orders of magnitude faster than the speed of light. So just based off that right there, without getting into anything else, it lends itself to this idea that there is this changing constant, this underlying flow of all the information, past, present, future, true, not true, everything that is just existing everywhere all at once and nowhere at the same time. It exists nowhere because it is all that there is, and it is existing everywhere because it is all that there is. There's this background energy that's elusively tying every facet of reality and existence together. Multidimensional, just complete and all-encompassing. And I think it's what people often refer to as God, Source, Akashic Flow. There's plenty of names, higher power. But when you start looking into things, you do see that everything is tied together in these ways that we may have never imagined until we look at them differently one day. Some people, psychedelics helped them do that. Other people, they don't need anything at all. They just see things differently every day. I think that if you're somebody who does use psychedelics to help you do that if you're using them in the right way, they should lead you down a path in which eventually you no longer need them to be able to see things differently every day like that. But it's what brings the nuance of life, the joy of living, the desire to wake up and find out what each day has in store. So let me get into what Wikipedia says the claims of the torsion field physics are. Spin-spin interaction can be transmitted through space at speeds of at least up to 10 to the 9th times the speed of light via a special kind of field, making faster than light travel, extrasensory perception, homeopathy, levitation, and other paranormal phenomena possible. It says the year that this was proposed was in 1987. The history is pretty interesting about this too, because it gets kind of trippy and almost like conspiracy theory-ish. The first torsion field proposals were proposed in the late Soviet Union by a group of physicists in the 1980s who loosely based their ideas on Einstein-Cartan theory and some variant solutions of Maxwell's equations that do not have a solid grounding in scientific fact. So claims Wikipedia. The group led by Anatoly Akhimov, probably gonna butcher these fucking names, and Gennady Shipov, began research as the state-sponsored Center for Non-Traditional Technologies. They disbanded in 1991 when their research was exposed by physicist Yevgeny Alexandrov, probably just a shill for the cabal, as a fraud and an embezzlement of government funding. So this person supposedly exposed this research as fraudulent and embezzlement of government funding. Just sounds like a way to hide and bury something real deep. Akhimov and Shipov received financing for torsion field research from the Russian Ministry of Science from 1992 to 1995. and from the Russian Ministry of Defense from 1996 to 1997, and secretly continued their research with a private enterprise called the International Institute for Theoretical and Applied Physics, later called UVITOR. Presently championed exclusively outside of reputable scientific research due to its lack of evidence and absence of sound theoretical underpinning, the theory has been used to proclaim faster-than-light travel, extrasensory perception, homeopathy, levitation, and other paranormal phenomena, and has been used to provide a rationale for the purported functioning of miracle cures and similar products. These claims have no independent backing. That's all Wikipedia. I'm going to read you the description now, because I'm pretty sure somewhere in here we start talking about neutrinos and stuff, which is, yeah, there it is actually, what I'm really trying to get to, because neutrinos are a lot more important than we realize. They're a lot more significant. They have a lot more to do with the greater powers at work. In physics, a field is an assignment of a quantity, vector, tensor, or spinor, to every point of the space containing it. The word torsion refers to any variable that describes rotation. Thus, torsion fields of any physical value reasonably described as torsion, do exist in established physics, aside from in this pseudoscientific case, where the terms have been misappropriated. For example, an electromagnetic wave with circular polarization or the stress tensor of a solid body under torsion stress can be described as torsion fields, although such usage is rare. The torsion tensor is a quantity in general relativity and plays an important role in Einstein-Cartan theory. Spinor fields, in particular, fermionic fields, are existing concepts from particle physics and quantum field theory. Advocates for the existence of the spinor field, or torsion field, as described here, claim that spin-spin interaction, itself a well-studied quantum phenomenon, can be transmitted through space similar to electromagnetic waves, but transmitting no mass or energy, but only information, and does so at speeds of up to 1 billion times the speed of light, an explicit violation of special relativity. At the same time, they claim that spin-spin interaction is carried by neutrinos, which have very little mass and high energy and interact with matter through the weak interaction. Which I think the weak interaction, whether they're calling it now, I think that's all a bunch of bullshit too, just like the strong force. Yeah, gluons, yeah, no. Go hit up Nassim Haramein, he'll tell you what's up. That it does not interact with matter, but at the same time can be generated and detected easily. So, I mean, these neutrinos, okay, they have little mass, high energy. It's like something that can be everywhere, in every dimension, small mass, you know, like it can fit into any reality or existence. High energy, mass information, carrying all the information of the universe. It would make perfect sense why they want to bury this shit. Oh, let's see here. So I already kind of brought up what they were originally claiming that its applications are earlier in this reading, but they also go on to say that the harnessing of torsion fields has been claimed to make everything possible, from miracle cure devices, including devices that cure alcohol addiction, to working perpetual motion machines, stargates, UFO propulsion analogs, and weapons of mass destruction. Some such devices, in particular, the miracle cure boxes, have been patented, manufactured, and sold. Interesting. I mean, we know everything has a resonance. We know everything is vibrating. It's all made of the same stuff. It all comes down to these atomic and subatomic particles, down to these Planck fluctuations. It's just the vibration of space. It's just energy. And it ties everything together, and it's flowing through everyone, all of us, everything at the same time. I just thought that this was interesting. I gotta say that if it wasn't for meeting and interacting with people out and about in places, I would have never come to this information. It was through pursuing my passions that I come into contact with people through just being different places, collaborating, things like that. And so I just want to say thank you to those out there who have brought to me brought to my attention the things that have led me down paths of enlightenment. So I'll dive a little bit down this rabbit hole of conspiracy theory about where all this came from, where it ended up, maybe where it went. This is what Wikipedia has to say about the funding of torsion field related projects. Proponents of torsion field have sought large-scale government and military contracts at different times, starting with the 1987 application to the Ministry of Defense of the USSR, requesting funding to develop highly reliable detection of enemy strategic weapons, ICBM, nuclear, submarine, aircraft, etc. The long-range destruction of enemy strategic weapons without contact, covert jamming, resistant communications with objects in outer space, on Earth, underground, and underwater, mobile equipment on gravitational principles, and psychophysical and biomedical influence on troops and the population. The Soviet government allocated 5 million rubles, about $7 million US at today's exchange rate, for this research. Another example of such funding applications was an experiment conducted in 1994 by the Russian private research group VENT, Venture for Non-Traditional Technologies, which claimed to lower the resistivity of copper to as little as 1/80th of its normal value after exposing it to a torsion field generator. The group applied to the government of the Russian Federation for funding to open a factory and promised great savings in energy consumption. The samples of exposed and unexposed copper were independently tested in presence of a VENT representative, and their resistivities were not only found to be identical, but worse than industrial copper as well. Honestly, like, there's some stuff in here that's all numbers that I don't know how to read because I'm not like a mathematician or an electrical engineer. But I just want to wrap this little piece up about torsion field physics by noting that at the end here it says In 2002, an application was made for oil drilling licenses in Russia and the UK using microlepton technologies. And in 2011, National Research Council of Thailand approved a 4 million baht, around $130,000 fund for torsion field technologies research at a university. So it's just interesting that they've recently kicked back up this at least publicly identifiable research into these torsion field physics, and how Wikipedia is so insistent that it's a pseudoscience. I get that copper experiment didn't work or anything, but there could be a number of reasons for something like that. It could have been sabotage, someone could have been paid off, you know, they could have just done it wrong. Who knows? Okay, I think I'm going to take a little break, and then I'll get into dialectical materialism.